owned. Totem Hawk. Subject gang affiliation. A terrifying common truth is that many of our indigenous youth have turned to gangs, leading to a life of violence and crime. Once recruited, they are manipulated into criminal activity for general profit for their masters. This subject was hard for me to tackle because I've seen a loved one lose it all to the gang life. Willingly lost, but not only herself but her young children. She thought she had found loyalty or family, but now she's in jail by herself. The reality is gang affiliation is not family at all, not even close. In my painting, you see the gang leader leading a lost indigenous boy by chains and cuffs up to the stairs to the gang life he's about to be involved and stuck in. The venomous snake represents violence and murder and crime. His family sheds tears as they see him go down a path he can't escape and realize he's long gone. Once they own you, there's no going back without a big price to pay. Now, I see I have gang members on my Facebook page, which is so disappointing. I don't believe in gangs. There's absolutely nothing cool or brave about it. Our warrior ancestors would be disappointed and embarrassed. When they tell you to jump, you jump and follow. But real warriors make their own path and follow no one. Don't be owned by these puppet masters that don't give a shit about you. Learn to stand up by yourself and think for yourself. Now that's a true warrior. In Ojibwe kinship structure, the Hawk totem is part of the Baswenaazhi group, which provides leadership in dealing with the outside world. The hawk is acknowledged as among the most intelligent bird species, with keen, discerning eyesight that perceives the ultraviolet spectrum invisible to human eyes. The young are fed by their parents until ready to leave the nest, and they migrate in flocks to strengthen capacity to survive. Yes, the hawk-like qualities noted above are badly needed in our communities and families. We need to show intelligence, discernment, family commitment, and community support to ensure that our youth are properly prepared to handle themselves and to understand that gang life is a losing proposition. In practical terms, one Indigenous social worker, Kyle Kopti, summed it up as follows: it's all about education and employment. If we don't get youth educated, and we don't get them participating in the workforce, we're going to continue to watch this deterioration. Dedicated to my sister who listens to our pleas, woke up and broke those chains, and got the courage to leave the gang life. I'm very proud of her. Rise. Totem Thunderbird. Subject: perpetuation of stereotypes. Some have astutely maintained that the stereotypes we continue to face have their origins in the doctrine of discovery of terra nullius. These horrific declarations essentially held that the colonizing forces had the right to exert sovereignty over North American lands because the indigenous inhabitants were not fully human, and so that the lands were deemed to be unoccupied. This bred hostility against indigenous people, leading to intentionally hurtful generalizations and stereotypes that continue in our day. The preamble to the United Nations Declaration of Rights of Indigenous People therefore affirms that all doctrines, policies, and practices based on or advocating superiority of people or individuals of the basis of natural origin or racial, religious, ethnic, or cultural differences are racist, scientifically false, legally invalid, morally condemnable, and socially unjust. Yet they persist. The untruthful and harmful stereotypes incorporated in this painting were shared with me by real persons who have experienced hearing them. Often on social media, this demanding and traumatic hardship is an ongoing common truth for Indigenous people and a barrier to reconciliation. What can help us cope? An Ojibwe kinship structure, the Thunderbird totem, is part of the Baswenaazhi group, which specializes in relationships with the rest of the world. In the painting, the Thunderbird clan takes action once the Snake clan sucks up all the hurtful stereotypical expressions directed at Indigenous people. Thunderbird gathers them within his mighty wings to protect Indigenous people from being harmed by them, by absorbing the pain and suffering they cause, rising and soaring above it all. Perhaps you too will get a rise from the subject. Having been victimized by such taunting and haunting words, it's a common comfort for us to appreciate that the spirit of the Thunderbird is there to guard and protect us, preserve our dignity, and strengthen us to stand proudly above it. We too can rise.